Hello, Happy New Year. I hope you're having a beautiful start to 2024. For those not familiar with me, my name is Jamie Lee and I share a lot of styling tips, brand reviews, and also just how to make the most of your wardrobe. So let's dive right into it. And the very first shopping habit that I think we all need to quit in 2024 is shopping for your fantasy self. If you haven't heard of this concept of fantasy self, it's essentially an aspirational sense of self. It could be the life that you previously had, and maybe you have gone through a big lifestyle change. I know for many of us, the pandemic really did alter the course of our lives and how we are working, so that in particular could have had an impact. Maybe you've started a family, maybe you've moved country. There are all of these different factors that can really alter your day-to-day and the needs of your wardrobe. And it can be a little bit of a challenge distinguishing between the items that we're purchasing for our past self and for the needs of our wardrobe now. And it's not to say we shouldn't give into any of our fantasy self purchases. I personally do from time to time, with full knowledge that it's not going to be an item that I reach for on heavy rotation. It's going to be something I wear every once in a while. My Mac and Mac bow flats, which you'll see an overlay of, these are a really good example. They are a sometimes shoe, they're satin, I've got young kids, they've got crystals on them, so I know they're going to be a little bit more delicate, and I have to be really mindful when I am wearing them. The second shopping habit to quit in 2024 is buying items just because they're on sale. Honestly, this is such a trap, and if you wouldn't entertain the idea of paying full price for it, then it's really not a good deal. All of the end of season sales which are currently happening, and also just little flash sales which kind of drive that impulse in our brain to make a purchase, they don't really seem to encourage well thought out purchases. And I will unpack that very soon, but if you weren't even thinking about buying the thing, or maybe it was an item that you loved but was completely out of your budget full price, but on sale you could kind of justify the splurge a little bit more, then just don't do it. You'll thank me later. The third thing you have to stop buying is items that are uncomfortable. If it feels too tight, like you can't breathe in it, you can't move around it, you can't be flexible, then it's a no-go. If it is something that you personally just feel uncomfortable in, maybe it's a little bit outside of your personal style comfort zone, or it just feels a little bit off for whatever reason, it could be a hemline issue, that's another no-go. And the third one is that if it doesn't feel comfortable against your skin, maybe it's a fabrication that feels a little bit itchy, you're just never going to reach for it. So let's leave those purchases at checkout. I'm definitely guilty of doing this next one in the past, but I haven't done this for many years, and that is calling wardrobe purchases investment pieces. I think if we're being really honest with ourselves, we know that we're just buying something that is really pricey, and if you continue to call it an investment, it could be a trigger to kind of splurge on something that maybe you don't really need or you don't necessarily really want, but have kind of been influenced into buying it for whatever reason because you think you need the really, really expensive coat, and saying that it's an investment might be breaking that final barrier to actually push you to make the purchase. Instead, call it out for what it is, an expensive purchase. If it goes on to be something we wear all the time, a serious wardrobe workhorse, we love that, but otherwise it can just be a really costly mistake. The next shopping habit to quit is buying someone else's personal style. It's personal for a reason because it reflects you, and style is so much more than just finding the right basics for your wardrobe. It is your experience, your emotions, sentimentality. There are so many factors that kind of go into building the perfect wardrobe and things that have meaning to you and that you feel amazing to wear. Creating a carbon copy of someone else's wardrobe is always going to leave you feeling a little bit flat and like something is missing. While you might have great basics and from the outside it looks like you've kind of got everything nailed, you might feel like there's something a bit off, and that's why. Next one to stop is storing your credit card details on brand websites. So there's a couple of reasons. One, security, but two, if you have those credit card details stored already, it removes a step at checkout. So it kind of puts you a little bit closer to the purchase point, and it may be the thing that encourages you to buy something that you didn't really want or need in the first place. By having to physically go to your bag, to your handbag, pull out your wallet, grab your card details, and then punch them in, that kind of adds this additional step where you might stop and go, actually, maybe I didn't need to buy that after all. Shopping on impulse. Who here is guilty? Now, I'm not going to go and say that I'm never going to make an impulse purchase again, but something I found deeply helpful over the years has been my 30-day shopping rule. So I have this thing where I like to save and bookmark so many beautiful things. I am kind of a magpie and I really like to admire and appreciate design, aesthetics, and quite often, if I really let myself, it turns into purchases and things that ultimately purchases that aren't really even reflective of my personal style, that I don't want and that I haven't really thought about. By banking it, if I save it to my bookmarks or I kind of make a mental note of it, if I have to wait at least 30 days, by that point, the desire for that item has usually waned. I'm not even thinking about it, and if I am, then that's a great sign. It kind of says to me, this is probably going to be a worthwhile purchase. And while it might not necessarily always be the case, because we're always going to make shopping mistakes, I think that's kind of part and parcel of the journey of personal style and just playing around with fashion. It does lead to fewer of them. For you, this might not be 30 days. Maybe you want to sleep on it 24 hours, 48 hours, a week, but I find 30 days is generally a great amount of time for me personally, and if the item sells out, that's fine. I'll just keep looking. That said, if it is something that meets all of my criteria, it is on my shopping list, and I think, you know what, I want to give this a go. If I'm shopping online, I'll typically order it so I can try it on in person if it's not something I can access in real life. Definitely one of my best shopping tips to date. The next one is to not shop when you are in a negative emotional state. So when you're feeling sad, anxious, overwhelmed, lonely, any of these sorts of feelings that we maybe want to mask by getting that little dopamine hit of buying something new. Now, I am an emotional shopper, so this is one that I really have to work on myself. There are certain points in the year that in the past I have found myself just shopping impulsively and also to excess, where I would feel really embarrassed at the end of it and kind of also a little bit deflated too. Didn't feel good about any of those purchases, and it was me spending money that I could have saved and perhaps spent doing something else that was more worthwhile, and actually just letting myself have the time to process those feelings. These could be feelings of grief. So to share a little bit about my personal experience and why I struggle with this, it is all related to when my mum passed away. There was around 3 weeks from when I found out that she was sick, that it was terminal, to when she actually passed away. I thought she had a lot more time, and that is someone who is trying to process losing their mother in their 20s. Really, really difficult. And I know many of you have gone through something similar, and I'm sure have also experienced the same desire to kind of mask those feelings, hide them, push them down, so that we can do our best to get through that difficult period, though we haven't really dealt with those feelings. So I find this is a really good one, and actually something that I have gotten a lot better at as the years have gone by, because I'm a lot more conscious of it. Next shopping habit to quit in 2024 is buying duplicates of items you haven't worn yet. So for example, say you have bought a top with a cutout. If you have had this for a few months in your closet and you've never worn it, or even if you've had it for a week and then you find another top with a cutout that you really love, make sure you wear the one that you have first. Make sure that it is going to be a key part of your personal style, that it's going to be something you're wearing on repeat before you even consider buying duplicates or multiples. Trust me, this will save you a lot of money. And if you get tunnel vision, just make a mental note, have a wardrobe checklist that you can refer to when you are shopping, and just think, wait a minute, have I already bought this? Do I already have this in my wardrobe? Do I have something that serves this function? Trust me, it'll save you lots of money in the long run. The next shopping habit to quit in 2024 is buying items that require you to purchase other pieces for it to work in your wardrobe. If you can't already build multiple outfits, I like to go with 5, but 3 is a good starting point because you can usually do variations, then it's probably not a winner. If you are kind of thinking, I need to spend more money in order to have this be a successful purchase, maybe leave it in the shop, or see if you can find a way, workshop a way with what you've already got to make it work. My final shopping habit to quit is buying more expensive versions of pieces you already own but that you haven't learned how to take care of yet. So for example, something I often talk about is how our clothes need to be maintained and looked after. So this could be mending, repairing, perhaps you've got a knit that is looking a little bit bobbly. If you don't know how to look after these pieces and you're going out and you're buying a more expensive version, expecting that it is going to magically end up living a much, much longer lifespan, while yes, it probably is going to live in your wardrobe longer, if you don't know how to look after it, it's going to end up suffering the same fate. If you can mend your clothing, if you can look after your clothing, if you know how to wash them, care for them, trust me when I say that this will make your items in your closet last so much longer. And there is something really special, really magical in having things that you have cared for and that have seen many, many seasons of your life. So those are 11 shopping mistakes, shopping habits to quit in 2024. I hope that you found this video informative and helpful, and I'd love to know if there are any other shopping mistakes or shopping habits that you are planning to quit for the year ahead. Please pop them down in the comment section below so we can have a really nice, robust discussion about it. If you are new here, I would love for you to consider subscribing, or perhaps you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter if you prefer something straight into your inbox that you can read at your own pace. I share monthly capsule wardrobe edits along with lots of styling tips, so that'll be linked down in the description box below. But thank you so much for spending some of your day with me, some of your 2024 with me. I am eternally grateful. I will see you in the next video. Bye.